Chosen one, listen closely, because what's about to unfold between October 12 and 14, 2025 is not another horoscope, not another new age trend, not another passing wave of spiritual hype. This is the mirror of destiny, opening for the first time in years, a portal where timelines split, where your reflection either ascends into purpose or dissolves into repetition. The air is already changing, you can feel it. There's a heaviness behind your thoughts, a quiet pull in your chest, as if something or someone is calling you higher. These next 3 days aren't random. They are a spiritual checkpoint, a divine recalibration, where every unhealed wound, every unfinished lesson, every unspoken dream comes rushing to the surface, asking a single question: are you ready to step into your higher timeline? Everything you've ignored will speak. Everything you've suppressed will rise. The mirror doesn't lie, it reflects who you've been becoming in secret. This is where illusions break, where fate bends, where ordinary lives turn prophetic. The timeline is shifting, and it's no longer about waiting for signs in the sky. The sign is you. Don't let this pass like another day on the calendar. This moment carries weight, like thunder before the lightning. If you've been betrayed, delayed, overlooked, or broken, good. Those were the fractures that made the mirror ready. Now, it's your turn to look into it and decide, will you remain a fragment of what was, or will you rise as the architect of what will be? As this revelation unfolds, don't just watch, participate, speak in agreement with destiny. Let your spirit respond. Comment what your soul feels, like if you can sense the pull of this shift. Subscribe not as routine, but as ritual, as a declaration that you are aligning with the higher timeline. Because after October 14th, the mirror closes, and only those who looked will remember what they saw. Between October 12 and 14, the world shifts. You may not see it in the news, and the sky might appear unchanged, but beneath the thin skin of visible reality, the structure of time itself begins to ripple. Those who can feel energy, who have grown sensitive to the undercurrents of spirit, know that something ancient stirs during these days. The air feels heavier, charged, as if the veil between dimensions doesn't just thin, it bends. And what you see in that bend, in that subtle curvature of reality, will depend entirely on who you have become. These are not ordinary days. They are thresholds, 3 days of divine mathematics, echoing the sacred pattern of resurrection itself. 3 days Jonah spent within the belly of transformation. 3 days the Christ lay between death and awakening. 3 days that symbolize humanity's eternal cycle of descent, surrender, and re-emergence. These aren't coincidences. They are coded messages left in the architecture of time. October, in its mysterious chill, carries the vibration of reflection. It is the season when the mirror opens, not just the physical mirror that shows your face, but the cosmic one that reveals your frequency. The ancients knew this well. They spoke of the gate of reflection, a portal where the old world dissolves and the future peers back through the glass. In modern psychology, we call this a liminal phase, a space between what was and what will be, when identity softens and possibilities expand. But spiritual beings know it as the crossing, the brief corridor where you can rewrite your entire destiny by daring to see yourself without illusion. Imagine standing before a mirror that doesn't return your face, but a shimmering image of who you could become if you fully embodied truth, if you surrendered to divine alignment. That is what these days offer. But the mirror does not open for curiosity, it opens for courage. The question is not whether the mirror will open, it always does, it is whether you will dare to look. Because when you do, you begin to touch the hidden technology of creation itself. The fabric of your life is not stitched by random chance or external control, it is woven through choice. Every yes that escapes your lips is code sent into the matrix of the universe. Every no is data that defines the boundaries of your existence. You are not a passive traveler in time, you are its architect, continuously programming your timeline through the vibration of your thoughts, words, and emotions. The higher timeline, the one aligned with divine intelligence, is not a mystical fantasy. It is the natural consequence of coherence between your spirit and your intention. Quantum physics now whispers what ancient mystics declared centuries ago: observation shapes reality. The energy of expectation rearranges the particles of your world. Neuroscience confirms it through studies of neuroplasticity. The mind literally rewires itself to reflect belief. The placebo effect is not deception, it is revelation. It proves that faith alters flesh, that consciousness molds matter. Scripture already spoke the same law in timeless simplicity. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Every cell, every circumstance mirrors the dominant vibration of your inner world. The mirror doesn't decide who you are, it simply reflects the pattern you've been coding all year through your focus, your reactions, your faith, or your fear. But to rewrite that code, something within must first be shattered, the illusion that you are powerless. This is why many of the chosen ones have been facing storms in recent months. Relationships breaking, finances shifting, betrayals surfacing, paths dissolving into uncertainty. You look around and ask, why is everything collapsing? But the Spirit answers gently, you are not being punished, you are being recalibrated. The divine algorithm is correcting its course through you. The vibration that can no longer sustain your next evolution is being stripped away, not to destroy you, but to reveal the architecture beneath the ruins. Crisis, though painful, is a form of sacred technology. It's the fire that tempers metal, the pressure that forges diamonds, the earthquake that cracks open buried treasure. It is how the universe reorganizes your energy field to match your next level of consciousness. Studies show that nearly all who walk through major life transitions later recognize them as catalysts for growth. But the spiritual heart already knows this. Pain refines perception. When the external scaffolding crumbles, your inner light begins to pulse through the fractures, illuminating what was always hidden beneath the surface. And in that moment, standing amidst the dust of what has fallen, you reach the breaking point, not a place of defeat, but of decision. For every soul on the path of awakening, there comes a fork, a sacred divergence. One path loops endlessly through the old patterns of fear, control, and ego survival. The other leads upward, towards surrender, purpose, and spiritual authority. Between October 12 and 14. This fork becomes more visible than ever. These days serve as a mirror event, revealing which version of you is steering your timeline. There are in truth two versions of you waiting beyond October 14. One is built from the residue of the past, the version that repeats cycles, clings to old stories, and seeks validation through pain. The other is woven from light, the version that has learned to trust divine timing, to release the need to understand, and to embody the frequency of peace even amid uncertainty. Which one will you meet? That is determined not by prophecy alone, but by presence. The timeline you step into is written by your state of being in these days of reflection. The lower timeline is seductive because it feels familiar. It offers comfort through repetition, even if the patterns are painful. It whispers, stay where you are, it's safer here. But safety is the language of stagnation. The higher timeline, on the other hand, is built on surrender. It demands trust when the path disappears, faith when the evidence is absent, obedience when logic screams to resist. It requires courage to release what is falling away, even when you cannot yet see what will replace it. Choosing higher rarely looks glamorous. It often looks like silence when others demand reaction, forgiveness when betrayal still burns, or patience when the door remains closed. It's not about pretending to be unshaken, it's about standing still long enough for the storm to pass through you without claiming your peace. It's the strength to listen for the whisper of spirit when every other voice is shouting fear. It's the wisdom to discern that your comfort is not your crown. Many of you are in the in-between, where nothing makes sense but everything is changing. The mirror has opened, and what it reflects is not always easy to face. It shows where you've been dishonest with yourself, where you've settled, where you've allowed fear to dictate your choices. But it also reveals your potential, the luminous pattern of your true design, waiting to be activated once you choose truth over illusion. And so you stand before your reflection now, at the fork in your soul, feeling both the weight of the past and the pull of the future. The energy of these days amplifies everything you carry, your love, your bitterness, your hope, your fear. Whatever you magnify internally will become your external experience as reality bends to your frequency. This is the divine law of correspondence in motion. You have entered a sacred window where the veil bends, not to confuse you, but to invite you. The universe is not testing you, it is aligning you. The code is being rewritten, but it requires your consent. You must choose to rise not once but daily. You must choose faith over logic, alignment over approval, purpose over comfort. Because when the false supports crumble and the illusions fall away, what remains is the raw essence of your soul, standing in direct conversation with the divine. This is the moment where you reclaim your dangerous power, the power of choice. Not the small, surface-level choice between this job or that relationship, but the deeper choice of vibration. Who will you be when the mirror bends? What energy will you carry into the next dimension of your destiny? Because as October's mirror opens, it reflects not just your face, but your frequency. It is the divine record keeper, showing you the result of every prayer, every fear, every lesson integrated or ignored. And when you dare to look, truly look, you realize the truth that prophets have always whispered. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you. And the moment you understand that, reality itself begins to obey your voice. Before ascension comes confrontation. Before light expands, darkness resists. And as the mirror bends open in these prophetic days, it doesn't only reveal your brilliance, it reveals your shadow. Every buried fear, every unhealed wound, every unspoken resentment begins to rise from the depths, demanding to be seen. It is not an enemy coming to destroy you, but a teacher coming to integrate what you once denied. Yet, make no mistake, before you ascend, your reflection will rebel. You will hear echoes of your old self, whispering from the glass. You can't change, you failed before, you're not ready. These voices will sound familiar because they are the remnants of the past identities that once protected you, the masks that helped you survive when love was scarce or truth was too heavy to hold. But now, those masks have become prisons, and the shadow refuses to dissolve quietly. The moment you step into alignment, it begins to fight for relevance. Psychology calls this process integration. The mystic Carl Jung taught that enlightenment is not imagining figures of light, but making the darkness conscious. Scripture, in its timeless mirror, calls it crucifying the flesh. Different language, same initiation. Both point toward the same truth. Transformation is not about escaping the shadow, but about facing it until it no longer controls you. Your anger, your jealousy, your pride, your fear, these are not curses, they are codes. They contain fragments of your divine power trapped within distorted emotion. When you meet them with awareness instead of judgment, you release that energy back into your wholeness. During these sacred days, your dreams may intensify. Emotions you thought you'd mastered may return in waves. Old memories may surface with strange vividness. That's not regression, it's revelation. Your soul is mirroring your inner battle. The subconscious is purging itself, showing you the echoes of unhealed energy that still inhabit your field. And science quietly agrees, emotional resistance peaks right before major behavioral change. The body fights for equilibrium, even when that equilibrium was born in dysfunction. So if your emotions are erupting, if your reflection feels hostile, know this: it is the labor before birth. Imagine the cinematic moment. You stand before the mirror, breath heavy, and suddenly it moves. It looks back, mocking you with every failure you've ever hidden. It calls you by your old names, names forged in trauma and limitation. You want to run, to cover your eyes, to deny it ever existed. But the only way through is to stop running. You plant your feet, you lift your gaze, and you say, "I am not who I was." In that moment, something ancient shifts. The mirror cracks, not from destruction, but liberation. The reflection ceases to mock and begins to bow, because the shadow only rules when you fear it. Once you reclaim your authority, the mirror no longer shows your wounds, it shows your calling. And there it is, your true reflection, unveiled, the higher self emerging from behind the veil of limitation. The realization dawns, you are not becoming someone new, you are remembering who you have always been. Every lesson, every heartbreak. Every delay was not a detour, it was a divine excavation. It stripped away what was false so that your original design could breathe again. This is the revelation of divine identity, the rediscovery of the blueprint written in heaven before fear edited your story. In this realm, remembrance becomes power. You begin to feel the synchronization of heaven and earth within your very being. Coincidences no longer feel random, they become confirmations. Numbers appear repeatedly, carrying messages. Songs find you at the perfect moment. People cross your path who speak the very words your spirit has been whispering. This is the language of alignment, the evidence that the higher timeline has recognized your frequency. The universe, the angels, the ancestors, all conspire in your favor once you remember who you are. And in this remembrance, a great truth emerges: you were never broken, you were never lost, you were awakening all along. Every fragment of pain was a portal to awareness. Every delay was training your patience for the weight of destiny. The revelation of the higher self is not about perfection, it is about precision, finally understanding why you were designed the way you were. Yet revelation alone is incomplete. Heaven may open, but without motion, revelation becomes stagnation. You have seen your light, but now you must walk in it. The mirror may have revealed the divine blueprint, but blueprints only manifest when acted upon. The walk between worlds begins here, the bridge between vision and embodiment. Destiny rewards movement. The portal responds to momentum. Once you have glimpsed your new identity, you must anchor it in action. Every decision becomes a declaration to the universe. This is who I am now. The higher frequency cannot sustain itself through wishful thinking. It requires participation. You cannot claim the vibration of abundance while speaking the language of lack. You cannot embody love while feeding resentment. You cannot walk in divine authority while living in self-neglect. The energy must be anchored through practice. So you begin to move differently. You create new routines that align with the version of yourself you've seen in the mirror. You set boundaries that honor your energy instead of depleting it. You speak affirmations that reprogram your subconscious from fear to faith. You act, even when you do not feel ready, because readiness is not emotional, it is spiritual. Science, once again, confirms this principle. Studies reveal that consistent, small daily actions reshape long-term identity faster than emotional highs. Transformation is not sustained through moments of inspiration. It is grounded through rhythm, discipline, and devotion. Spiritually, this is your Jordan River moment, the crossing from promise to possession. You have seen the land flowing with milk and honey in vision. Now you must step into it with your feet. The water does not part until you move. The energy does not align until you commit. And as you take those steps, momentum builds. The cinematic energy shifts from introspection to propulsion. A marching rhythm begins to rise in your spirit. You feel the pulse of destiny quickening, every heartbeat echoing like a drum, getting you across the threshold. This is the walk between worlds. You are no longer who you were, yet not entirely who you are becoming. You are the bridge itself, flesh and light, matter and spirit, heaven and earth merging through your willingness to evolve. Every choice, every breath, every prayer is a thread weaving your higher self into physical reality. But as you walk, remember this: the light you've kindled within is sacred. It must be protected. The same forces that once whispered through the mirror will try again to distract you, to pull you back into old cycles. But you have crossed too far to return. You've seen too much truth to believe the lie of limitation again. The mirror has shown you your calling. The revelation has awakened your remembrance. And your movement, steady, intentional, faithful, is transforming remembrance into manifestation. You have stepped into the rhythm of destiny, where every action is a prophecy in motion. And though the worlds may still tremble around you, your path is now aligned with the pulse of divine intelligence itself. The war inside the mirror is over. The light has won. And what was once reflection has become revelation, embodied in the living movement of your becoming. After every ascension, there comes a test. After elevation, temptation intensifies. Not the kind of temptation that wears obvious darkness, but the quiet, refined whispers that seem harmless, distractions that steal your focus, comforts that dull your spirit, cynicism disguised as wisdom. The higher you rise, the subtler the warfare becomes. The lower energies you once recognized easily now evolve into invisible threads tugging at your vibration, trying to pull you back into patterns you've already transcended. This is the stage of guardianship, where the light you've cultivated must be protected like sacred flame. Every timeline, every new dimension of reality comes with its own gatekeepers. These are not being sent to destroy you, they are divine tests designed to verify whether you're ready to hold what you've asked for. You prayed for expansion, and heaven heard you. But before new power is entrusted, character must be refined. The guardians of destiny do not ask, "Are you strong?" They ask, "Are you steady?" Because elevation without endurance collapses under the weight of its own brightness. You are now carrying new spiritual software. Your consciousness has been upgraded, your frequency rewritten. But the challenge lies in this truth: old environments cannot run new energy. Old habits, old conversations, even old versions of you, none of them can sustain the vibration you now emit. This is why certain relationships start to feel heavy, why some familiar places suddenly feel foreign. It's not rejection, it's incompatibility. Your system has evolved, and now your world must follow. To protect your new frequency is to become intentional about everything: what you watch, what you consume, what you tolerate. Protect your peace like it's sacred currency, because it is. The universe responds to your frequency, not your words, and peace is the signature of divine alignment. In times of noise, choose silence. In times of confusion, choose stillness. In times of temptation, choose truth. Learn to discern where your energy leaks, because even small cracks can drain the power you've fought to build. You don't owe your energy to every vibration that calls your name. The higher timeline requires discernment, not defense. The strongest guardians are not those who fight everything, they are those who walk in quiet authority, knowing that not all battles deserve their attention. Remember this: the mirror of destiny doesn't close. It continues to reflect who you become after the choice. The reflection evolves as you do, showing whether you are maintaining your frequency or dimming it to fit back into smaller rooms. And as you master the guardianship of your energy, a shift begins to occur. The mirror that once revealed your own transformation now becomes a portal through which others begin to see themselves. You are no longer just a seeker, you are becoming a mirror for others. The timeline you have chosen becomes a living prophecy, a reality others will walk into through your example. The light that you've kindled doesn't remain confined within your aura. It radiates outward, changing atmospheres, softening hearts, awakening dormant souls. Science, as always, lags just behind the spirit, yet even it bears witness to this truth. Sociologists have documented a phenomenon called emotional contagion, the subtle, invisible transmission of mood and energy within groups. When one person anchors peace, others around them begin to synchronize. Your faith becomes atmospheric, your energy becomes language. Without speaking a word, your vibration begins to teach. You are rewriting frequency fields through presence alone. And this is how the mirror of destiny expands beyond the personal into the collective. Your reflection merges with countless others, forming a great window through which entire families, communities, even nations begin to glimpse the light. The ripple is real. What begins as your inner transformation becomes a collective awakening. Prophets called it revival, mystics called it ascension, scientists call it resonance. But it is all the same sacred pulse moving through humanity. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are the world's change embodied in human form. Every act of forgiveness, every moment of faith, every boundary held with integrity sends waves through the collective field, shifting probabilities, opening possibilities. This is legacy, the legacy of light. You are not merely healing yourself, you are participating in the reprogramming of reality itself. And as this ripple grows, something profound begins to unfold. The threads of countless timelines begin to converge. Humanity, once fragmented into endless competing narratives, begins to weave a new pattern. When enough awakened souls choose light simultaneously, the very fabric of the world trembles. The mirror of destiny reveals itself not as an individual reflection, but as a planetary phenomenon. Every conscious decision made in love, every surrender to divine alignment, becomes a data point in the quantum field, subtly shifting global probabilities toward harmony. Quantum theorists have long suspected that reality responds to observation, but when observation becomes unified intention, the effect multiplies exponentially. Scripture said it first: "Where 2 or 3 agree, it shall be done." Agreement is not merely verbal, it is vibrational. And when the hearts of many align with the same frequency of divine truth, the universe itself recalibrates. Now, in the aftermath of October's mirror season, this ripple has begun. Timelines intertwine, merge, and separate according to the collective choices of awakening souls. Nations feel the tremor, where the patterns mirror emotional climates. Systems once thought immovable begin to crack beneath the pressure of human consciousness, evolving in unison. The earth itself hums with a new tone, a sound that resonates through every living cell. From a higher vantage, imagine this: the planet seen from above, glowing with networks of light connecting hearts, cities, generations. Every act of kindness sends a pulse through that network. Every moment of integrity strengthens the luminous grid. The mirror of destiny has become a web of awakening, each awakened soul a node of divine intelligence linking the heavens and the earth. And within this grand convergence, a new kind of human begins to emerge, the bridge bearer. They are not many, but they are mighty. These are the ones who live in two realms at once, walking the balance between spirit and matter, eternity and time. Bridge bearers are the awakened ones who understand that divinity is not an escape from humanity, but its fulfillment. Their presence shifts rooms, their words alter atmospheres. They move through the world with an unseen authority, radiating a peace that transcends understanding. They are living proof of the higher timeline, embodied reminders that heaven is not a distant realm, but a frequency accessible now. And even science bows quietly to this mystery. Global meditation experiments have measured spikes in collective heart coherence during mass intention events. When many hearts beat in harmony, the electromagnetic field of the planet itself shifts. The bridge bearers are the catalysts of this coherence, the living bridges through which divine energy flows into the physical world. Prophets of old called them the sons and daughters of light, forerunners of the new era, the ones who would restore the ancient pathways between heaven and earth. They are not here to dominate, they are here to illuminate. They are not saviors, they are reminders. Through them, humanity begins to remember its true identity, not as fallen, but as luminous, not as separate, but as divine fragments of one eternal consciousness learning to recognize itself through the human experience. Yet every bridge carries weight. To walk between worlds requires balance. The bridge bearers must learn to remain grounded in compassion while tuned to higher realms. They must remember that humility is the anchor of power and service is the crown of wisdom. Their task is not to escape the world, but to infuse it with light so thoroughly that the illusion of separation dissolves. The convergence has begun, the mirror remains open, and destiny itself watches through countless eyes, whispering one eternal truth. As within, so without, as above, so below. The future is not arriving from somewhere else. It is emerging through you, through every choice, every prayer, every breath that aligns with love. The mirror of destiny continues to reflect, not just who you are, but what humanity is becoming through you, the living bridge between heaven and earth. Do not blink, do not hesitate, because the portal is closing, and the moment you've been standing on the edge of, the threshold of destiny, is slipping behind you even as you watch. The mirror of destiny does not linger for the undecided. It waits only for those who have the courage to see themselves fully, to step into the higher timeline with eyes wide open and hearts on fire. Everything is shifting now. The echoes of choice, the vibrations of your soul, the unseen threads of reality, they are aligning with those who dared to move. What you do next will ripple far beyond your vision. The timelines you've glimpsed are not myths, they are invitations. Invitations to rise, to activate, to embody the life you were written to live long before fear whispered your name. Do not let this be a story you watch and forget. Let it become a ritual. Let your declaration today be more than passive acknowledgement. Let it be the beat of your soul synchronizing with the universe. Comment what you felt when the mirror spoke to you. Like as a sacred gesture, a mark that you are claiming alignment. Subscribe not as habit, but as covenant, an oath that you will continue walking the path of awakening, that you will not turn back, that you will carry the light forward. Because after this moment, after these days, the mirror will no longer reflect.